Social media is about sociology and psychology, but more than it, it is more about technology. So today we have Dylan Kohlstädt, CEO Shift One Digital, to give a plenary keynote on building a better social media presence. So she'll be joining in quite some time. So what a wonderful day and what a wonderful event with all the sponsors like APIA, Semrush, and our gold sponsors, Ethos Imagination, and Exabytes from Singapore, Meet Squared. They are organizing a great virtual event called DigitalConfab, or Global Digital Marketing Solutions, and we are here in this new digital era converting ourselves to a new normal post this COVID-19 situation. So everything is all about online, online, online. And here we have the eminent speakers to teach us to bring our business to a greater heights. And yes, we have Dylan here with us to talk about better social media presence. So over to Dylan.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day and is enjoying the session so far. Let me just share my screen. My name is Dylan Kohlstädt, and I'm going to be speaking today about what I call next level social media. And you're welcome to pop me any of your questions, and let's make this an interactive session. While I'm presenting, I probably won't be able to see any questions, so I'll pop over to the chat area afterwards. So yeah, let's kick off with a little bit about me. That's me. You can see I've gone blonde, so I need to update my photo. Okay, so my name is Dylan Kohlstädt. Who am I? I started life as a marketing manager. A lot of you out there, marketing managers, have your marketing diplomas and marketing degrees. And I do personally think that marketing is the best background for anybody in a digital marketing space, because marketing is the holistic discipline. And within marketing sits digital marketing, and within digital marketing sits things like, social media. So if you do want to upgrade your learning and your understanding a little bit to make it a bit more holistic, I would suggest that each one of you does go out there and build on your marketing understanding. That will make you a more a well-rounded, I would say, marketer as a whole. So I started life as a marketing manager, and then I went on to get my MBA just because I wanted to understand business a little bit better. And, I've worked around, in financial services, medical aid. I've worked in South Africa, Pretoria, Sandton, London, in Melbourne, Australia. And now I'm based in Cape Town, where I run a digital marketing agency that I've been running for the last 10 years. So I've got a couple of brands in my portfolio. So one of them is Shift One Digital, which is my main baby, which I spend most of my time on. I also have a little pop-up shop called the Digital Marketing Academy, where I like to train as well and upskill and pass on the knowledge that I have. And then I'm building my own personal brand, Dylan Kohlstädt brand. And I do encourage each one of you to take away from this and put on two hats, because we're speaking about, we're going to be speaking a little bit about personal brand building and thought leadership. And I want you to think about yourself as an individual. And I want you to think about, obviously, the company and the brands that you represent here today. So Shift One is an integrated digital marketing agency, and we can do basically anything that you're looking for. But the main thing we specialize in is whatever your problem is, we like to solve it with marketing and digital marketing. So, if you just tell us your goal, your target market, and your budget, we can work out the right approach, because we know in this whole mix what works best for what. Okay, so very quickly, why next level social media? And I think, when social media came along, everybody was a little bit overwhelmed. What is social media? This is quite a few years ago. How do we get on the bandwagon? And now that everyone is creating social media content, my question to you is, it's not rocket science. How can we take it up a level? How do we make our content more engaging, more interesting? And how do we, so this presentation that I'm taking you through is based on the understanding that you already get social media and you're already doing content marketing at the, at a basic level. And basic level really means that you're just putting content out there. So let's just look at what I'm talking about here in this slide. So olden day marketing, I think, used to think of the customer as, how can I get more out of the customer? How can I suck, the life out of the customer? How can I make them buy, make them buy, make them buy? But the new marketer, and that's everybody here that's joining me for this conversation, you guys, your approach is, how can I create an ecosystem for my customer, an ecosystem of help to help them, thrive in their life, to help them do really well in their challenges. So in order to be part of the conversation and to learn and to support, you need to really understand who your customer is. You need to operate in high levels of trust and authenticity. And this old picture here, the old day marketer, there's very low level of trust and authenticity. You're just out there to sell, sell, sell. Now, most of us after COVID have got a lot of pressure to make sales. So I understand that you have to make sales, but there are clever ways to make sales. And you need to understand that social media content marketing, to a large extent, and I want you to all hear me now, social media content marketing to a large extent is mostly not sales driven. So, if you want sales, create ads. So, Facebook ads, Google search ads, your remarketing ads, that's the realm of sales. Email marketing, big supporter of sales. Email marketing is a great way to nurture all your leads and inquiries. But social media and content, if you think with the sales hat on, you're going to be thinking with this black tree. And social media is not made for sales in the sense of content. Content is not there to sell. Content is there to build, to educate, to inform, to inspire, to motivate, to entertain. So I think if you look at it this way, as marketers, sometimes I think we're losing because we're spammers, we're into hard sell, too many ads, no segmentation. All we're doing is hitting people with, buy, 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 buy. And actually what customers are looking for is referrals from their friends, the right message at the right time, based on their interest, on their needs, what's interesting. So we've got so much information at our disposal these days as marketers that there's really no excuse for spamming people. We should know who they are and what they want. So let's not be these guys, okay? So how are we going to turn your customers into raving fans? Well, the only way for me is to look at thought leadership. So thought leadership is really, really key. Community building, how can you build a community? How can you encourage user-generated content? And let's look at some micro influencers. Now, there are a lot of other things we can discuss, but we just don't have time. So I've picked the top 4. And I actually created this little pyramid of trust that for me is like, it just explains trust and authenticity. High, high, high at the top of the pyramid, you've got thought leadership, which is you, your exco, your management team, your product experts. Right at the bottom are ads. Nobody trusts ads, but ads do fulfill a good, an important purpose. When I see an ad, it sometimes is something that I need and I'm looking for, and I'll click on that ad. So ads absolutely are critical, but nobody expects them to be anything but hard sell. Where you erode trust is when your soft sell content becomes too ad based. Okay. So if we look at our little pyramid, I'm going to go through the top 4 elements, which is thought leadership, community building, user-generated content, micro-influencers. I'm not going to touch on macro-influencers. I'm not going to touch on soft sell content marketing, which is what you're already doing. And I'm not going to touch on hard sell content marketing because you should not be doing that. And I'm not going to touch on ads in too much space. So let's look at thought leadership. So thought leadership is really coming from the space that social media doesn't work. And what do I mean by work in inverted commas? It doesn't work for brands. Now, what do I mean by that? If I look at LinkedIn, I can guarantee that each one of you, your LinkedIn content probably isn't blowing the lights out. Even the most exciting, amazing brands struggle to make their company pages rock on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, is the same as Facebook. A Facebook company page rarely blows the lights out. A Twitter company page, all of these social platforms were built around what? Individuals, people like you and me. People follow people. They might follow brands, but they want to buy from people. People buy from people. So what am I trying to say? That thought leadership and creating your, turning your exco and your management into thought leaders is really where it's at. And this is what we're doing for a lot of our clients now, the MDs, CEOs, excos, management, product heads, service line leaders. We're really just bringing their content up, so the company content's still there on the company pages, but very strongly, we've got these individuals whose profiles we're building, because they get a lot more traction, because humans have a lot more traction than brands. Okay, so if you look at myself just as an example, about 5 years ago, I started building a following, and within a very short space of time, I had 10,000 followers. I have now 40,000 followers in my reach across all the different social media platforms, across all the different brands, and so it's really just about reach. It's about authenticity. So all that I'm encouraging you to do is to make sure that when someone Googles your exco's name and your management's names and your sales reps' names, that they find great content there, and that you actually dominate page 1 with press, with articles, at a minimum with LinkedIn content, because LinkedIn ranks really well on page 1 for somebody's name. So we spend a lot of time in LinkedIn building people's profiles. And don't forget to optimize images and videos, because that's also a great opportunity. So the second thing I want to cover now is community building. And I'm a really big fan of building communities, because social media works brilliantly for community building. Social media is really all about building communities. So think about it as digital communities or real communities in a physical space. It depends on what your brand does, but I want you to take away as homework, what can you go and do in terms of building communities? Now let's look at one of my favorite brands, Nike. Nike is an amazing community builder, and year after year, they are rated one of the top brands globally, just in terms of brand love. Did you know that they run free races? Did you know that they have free running clubs where you literally can just turn up and there is a trainer who will help you prep for a 5K race, a 10K? They will help you train up for free. Nike is paying for this. Why would they do this? Why would they be so amazing? They create amazing events. They sponsor fantastic influencers. They've even in South Africa built a football training stadium, which we don't have time for me to go through this video, but I will share this presentation and you can watch the video on your own. But they have built a football stadium where you've got about 2,000 kids a day going through that stadium. They're off the streets. They're not, engaging in, they're not in danger. They're not engaging in non-productive activities. And they've got coaches. They've even got a clinic there. They've got life skills coaching that's happening, all for free. They're just giving back to this community. And they're also investing in their customer of the future and building their brand. And so this, I think Nike, go away and study what Nike has done in terms of building communities. Some of it's online and some of it's physical. And if you don't have the budget of Nike, I understand, but you can definitely create a Facebook page with a, not a Facebook page, a Facebook group, where you have this great agenda where, you know, on a Monday, you've got someone speaking about this. On a Tuesday, there's a live event on that. On a Wednesday, you share content. There's a Q&A session. There's lots you can do in terms of creating a group. And Nike, as a result, are every single year rated one of the top brands because of this amazing stuff that they've done just to create a community. All right, let's look at user-generated content. So what is user-generated content? It's basically when you stop selling and your customers sell for you. Think about it this way. Think about not needing any sales reps on the ground because you have got your customers selling for you. Wow, isn't that amazing? So how can you turn your customers into raving fans? If you look at Glossier, they've done it brilliantly. They're an Instagram first, well, they were first a blog and then Instagram social media account. And basically they sell beauty products, but they don't hire models as much as they just showcase their community. So they allow their community to be the models. And their community are very real looking. They're not beautiful. They're normal people. And they absolutely showcase their community. And their community are the ones who are buying and referring. And they're absolutely nailing it. So within 3 years of going live, they only had 24 products when they went live. They had a 600% revenue increase year on year, tripled their active customer base in the last 12 months. 70% of online sales comes through peer-to-peer referrals. And as of 2018, they had a $100 million value business, all from Instagram, all from user-generated content. Let's look at micro influencers. So I'm sure you've all heard of Daniel Wellington. If you've heard of Daniel Wellington, it's thanks to micro influencers. So they, Philippe Tysander back in 2011, absolutely did a brilliant job in understanding the power of the micro influencer. So he, within the last 3 years, has had nearly a 5,000% growth rate, sold over 1 million watches every year, equaling, you know, 228 million annual revenue, and literally from an investment of $30,000, all from micro influencers, just sending out watches and getting people to post pictures. Now he's got the Kardashians, obviously, with his watches, but he started off small. So really, when it comes to influencers, you need to look at what is the value, the value to the brand, the value to the influencer, and the value to the audience. So when you do collaborate with influencers, make sure that each of those triangles are ticked, because that means that it's going to be a great collaboration and you're going to get the results that you want. So let's look at your content layering. Now you've got a bit of user-generated content, some sales promotion, some influencers, some original thought leadership, you retweeting, you're commenting and replying. And this way you're going to have this great fresh content going out that's going to be really interesting. So you don't have to have so much of your own content going out when you've got user-generated content. You can just share what the users are saying. It takes a lot of pressure off of you at the end of the day. So really what it's all about is thinking differently. How can you think differently about your brand? Now, I'm not sure if we have time, but I've got some amazing videos that I will put into my presentation, that I've got in my presentation, and you can watch them at your own time because I'm sure we've got the next speaker lined up. And it's been lovely chatting to you. So this video that I've got will show you about how to appeal to your audiences. The next one is how to keep it real, how to keep it emotive and have an emotional connection with your audiences, and then how to go on and have an influencer collaboration on the next level. Thank you, guys. I know I spoke really fast. We didn't have a lot of time, but I am here for some question and answers after the presentation.
Wonderful presentation, Dylan. We had like the social media presence is more about social media management is what we understood. Like it's a process of analyzing social media, creating and distributing the content and collaborating with influencers. And at last, I loved what you said. You make your customers sell, and that's wow. Thank you very much for the wonderful speech and presentation. Thank you for joining, Dylan.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. Thanks for having me.